Welcome to the channel. This is Jared Dixon on behalf of CREATELARPSFORALL LLC, currently working on Community of Legends. When the game finally releases and comes out, and we may start working on something new or additional content for the game. Glad to have you here. Today on the main video, we're going to talk a little bit about improv. And in my day job, I'm an accountant. At night, I film videos or help with the writing on this, or the ideas, or the implementation on some things related to this. I go to conventions with my wife. We go to LARPs every now and then, when we can afford it these days. Gotta stay out of politics. So I am not an actor. I am not a professionally trained improviser. But on some level, all of us improvise. Some of us have pre-recorded things that we say in our head. Like someone asks you how you're doing, you say fine, or you say okay, or you have a pre-programmed response. Mine is generally alive and breathing. Not quite sure where I picked it up. Maybe from my grandmother. My grandmother would always say something that you weren't expecting if she spoke. She was I never knew where she stood fully on any issue. Maybe that had to be a little bit of her being from the South. But she would always make you think with what she said. But again, I'm getting off track. Improving is the ability to come up with things on the fly. And as a storyteller or a player, this is a skill you will get to develop by playing this game. So most of the skills in this game, I've gone over how they work from a mechanics perspective. They either let you give a stack to another player that they can use, or they let you use your stack to affect the story in a non-combat or a combat way. As a storyteller, your goal is to give players reasons to use their stacks. So you need to be able to come up with stories. Now, as I've said previously, if it's your home game, or if you're practicing, or you're playing with friends, it does not have to be an original story. We as humans have been telling stories for thousands of years. So even if you don't think you're good at it, I can guarantee you probably have more ability to come up with stories than you think you do. Now, whether or not people buy in or agree with your story is a different take. And in improv, anything that's being made up on the fly, even if you have a module to go by, you're still going to have to, you're not going to read it word for word. You shouldn't be reading things word for word. This is a social game. You should be using the lens of your NPCs or your characters to interact with other people. If they do something that ticks you or your character off, it is okay to, say, react in a way that is appropriate. Again, there's no PvP in this game, but wordplay, teasing back and forth, coming up with a cool insult, and then before it escalates going, hey, if you need to use your character as a shield, you can say, hey, that offended my character. We're just having a dwarf and elf, I know that's a trope from Lord of the Rings, banter back and forth. And as the storyteller, if it looks like something's tense, you can diffuse it with a joke. If that doesn't work, you can pause the game and have a conversation, but that should be reserved for if someone's actual feelings or character's feelings were hurt. The thing about improv or coming up with things on the fly is your players and you as a player will somewhat know that it's made up. Even if something similar was written in the module, you just changed it a little bit, they will probably know that there's some little changes here and there. Your goal as a storyteller is to try to make your story as believable as possible so that people can stay in character. That's going to be hard to do. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. As a player, your job is to stay in character if you can. Now, again, this is minimal immersion, and your character is you, a version of you that you're playing, is to stay in character as much as you can and suspend your disbelief to help the story keep moving. Now, there's a lot of really well-written movies that I'm sure you've watched. And if they're well acted as well, is it easy to tell when when an actor in their character comes up with a line? For some of us, it's actually really easy to tell. Sometimes I don't need the behind-the-scenes thing to say, that person they made that up, the people watching it liked it. So not only will you get, though you mess it up, you've got to have a conversation, you'll get the other side, where someone will say something you couldn't have planned, and make your story a better story, if you're willing to take it and run with it. And sometimes you'll say something that you said it in a different way than you wrote it down, but your players really like it, and they grab it and they run with it. You make an NPC, they adopt that NPC. They adopt your NPC, you're doing a good job. You made a non-player character they like. You can use that to tell a more deep story. You can use that to help them in some way. Or to make it more dramatic. This is not in the rules anywhere. This is a little bit of bonus advice I'm putting on the improv machine. Do not improv a twist villain from a beloved NPC. I'm not making this a hard rule, but that is a quick way to lose player buy-in. They will stop trusting your NPCs if you don't make the obvious bad guys obvious. Because to you, what's obvious may not be obvious to them. So if you want something to be a combat encounter, or if you want someone to be a villain, they need to be a villain. It needs to be obvious. And if they can't figure it out and they get backstabbed, then, maybe you go, hey guys, I was trying. Like, go out again, I was really trying to show you this guy was a villain. This should not have been a twist. Now, if you've been playing with people for a long time, if you've dropped hints, maybe do a twist villain, but you really need to be on a good terms with your players. You don't need to be friends with everybody there, but you need to be on good terms. And since this is a minimal immersion game, maybe even afterwards go, look, I'm not going to have all these NPCs turning on you left and right. That's not a fun story. There's a reason why betrayal in history and in our storytelling is usually reserved for the worst of the worst. Do not use betrayal. It's like salt in certain dishes. If you put too much, people aren't going to eat it. They're going to leave. They're going to leave your table. So while people are learning, while you're learning to improv, don't be like, ooh, they really like this NPC. I'm going to have it turn on them. The worst possible time. Ruin their day. Even if there's no killing people in this game, if you make people feel bad enough, they won't come back. Or they won't come back to your game. And if people do it to you, you'll do the same. And there are people that are quiet, that will never, even in a game like this where they're allowed to be socially out there, they're allowed to use their character to sort of put a wall up between them and you in a way that feels safe. If you hurt them enough through the character, they're just going to leave. And they're not going to say anything about it. They're not going to give you any feedback. They're just going to leave. And you won't be able to improv. You won't be able to learn from them. They won't be able to learn or grow from the experience or have fun or get a cool story. They'll just disconnect. And I've seen this with people that have tried to be silly and then get shot down. Someone's being silly at your table, being a little bit too silly. Obviously, you might need corrections. But they don't have to hurt. You don't have to be like the military. You don't have to go over the top to correct people. Unless you have a lot of buy-in and you think that it will become a joke and they will enjoy it. If someone leaves and doesn't communicate with you, maybe reach out to them. See what you did. See if it's something you can correct and improve. This has been Jared Dixon from CreateLARPSFORALL LLC, speaking on behalf of Community of Legends, one of the games we're working on. I hope you enjoyed the video. I might actually start working on scripting some of these. For now, it's just been... I work sometimes 50 to 60 hours a week. So sometimes it's on the weekend after I've managed to crash and sleep a little bit. Sometimes it's early in the morning, 4:30 a.m. Sometimes it's late at night, 10, 11 p.m. But I want people to make cool stories and make new friends. And I want my friend's business to grow in a way that everyone on this team can get paid. So I'm putting in over and above. You don't have to. We want to make this easy to do. We want to make this easy to play. We want people to get involved. If you want to be involved, reach out to the team. We'll add you. We don't have money right now, but when money starts coming in, I've been tracking everyone that's helped. And I'm going to make sure, because I'm the accounting guy on the team, once the money's coming in, people are going to get paid. And I don't know what the monetization structure is going to look like yet. But when money comes in, some of it's going to go to protecting the business from outside threats, because without that, your game dies. The rest of it is going to go back into the business. And if you are a player, if you are a storyteller, and you are contributing to the finances of this game, it should benefit you. Either in having an inexpensive way to go have fun with your friends, or if you help to contribute, it should pay you. Maybe not as much as you deserve, because we all deserve more than we get. But it should pay you in some way. Even if that's just having good memories. Because that's what we all need these days. So, as I love to say,